Sooner Scoop HD.
Good morning, almost afternoon. It's finally here. It's game week, and as I said yesterday, this doesn't ever get old. The excitement, the anticipation is real. Our guys have worked incredibly hard for the last 8 months, coaches and players, preparing for this. This is kind of what you work for. And so it's exciting time for the 22 team. Team 128 couldn't be more excited to just go watch them play. It's that time to go play somebody else, to go compete, and kind of see where we're at. So got UTEP coming in here, as we've said all along as well. It's about us, and a veteran team's coming in here from El Paso, but I really want to see our guys compete, to the standards of Oklahoma football, with uncommon effort and toughness and discipline, physicality, to play the game the right way in all three phases. Excited to see a bunch of young guys we have. I believe it's over 50% of our roster's never been in a Sooner football game, so that's exciting to us. I know there's been a bunch of freshman guys that just got here that are in that two deep as well, but from the transfers and the freshmen, and then guys that maybe have been here in the past prior to January that haven't been in a game as well. So that's exciting to me, to get an opportunity to mold them and shape them and see them go compete for the first time out here in this stadium is a really neat thing to be a part of. But I'm going to open it up for questions. I know you'll have plenty of UTEP questions, so I don't want to be redundant. I'll answer those when y'all ask.
We'll start with Eric Bailey.
Brent, I want to ask you, a lot of fans remember you from your times here with Mike. It's your passion and energy on the sidelines. We saw that at Clemson as well. When you look back at your coaching career, when did that begin? How did that start? Has that always just been you?
I was that way as a player. I think that's you got to find a way to create value for yourself, and I wasn't the most talented, so I just did it with effort and attitude, and just always try to go above and beyond when it comes to emotion and passion and intensity. Jim Leavitt at Kansas State, my linebacker coach, was a very passionate football coach, and he demanded that from us as players, and so he really nurtured that and promoted that, and that's always who I've been. And when you love what you do, I think that shows. And so for me, that was the way I was as a player and as a coach. I think it comes from a thankfulness, having gratitude for whatever opportunity that you have as well. So passion is genuine love for what I do, and again, just having a thankfulness, I think is what you see as well. And when it comes to the coaching aspect, I never have wanted to let my players down, ever. And so some of that focused intensity it's for them, and then the colleagues that I work with as well, trying to deliver, on my responsibilities. And I'm just, from an expression standpoint, I'm just very outwardly in my passions. And so I don't apologize for it. It's not for everyone, and but that's who I am. So that's who I've been since I've been here. With my guys, honest, open, transparent, enthusiastic, passionate, and again, make no apologies for that.
Thanks, Brent.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Aber.
Yeah, Brent, over the last few years, it seems like attitudes toward smaller quarterbacks have changed a little bit and become more accepting. How have you seen that evolve since you began coaching, and why do you think that is?
Well, I think whoever, Doug Flutie was that guy way back in the day, but somewhere along the line, I think collegiately, the smaller, whether it was Johnny Manziel or the guys that maybe weren't tall in stature in the pocket, started having incredible success. Obviously, guys that don't, have a lot of length, they're probably more of a dual threat, and they've had incredible success. So people have become more accepting of that from a recruiting standpoint, looking for that, guys that have all the intangibles, that know how to win, that, again, throw with anticipation, they're accurate, they can extend plays, keep their eyes down the field, tough to handle. And the better teams that have struggled against quarterbacks like that have probably promoted the idea that, okay, maybe it's okay to not go look, for the prototypical, measurables.
What is it about Dylan specifically ticked off some of those traits? But
again, for me, as a defensive coach, the ones that they're incredibly accurate. Those are that's a gift. You can get better, but accuracy is to me is a natural trait. Again, I coach linebackers, so there might be 1,000 quarterback coaches tell me I'm crazy. So, but that's, I think, accuracy is an instinctive thing. It's a natural gift. Throwing with anticipation and creating opportunities for guys, but throwing in the windows where they're going to open before they open. And then all the intangibles from a toughness, decision making, ball security. Some guys are just loose with the ball naturally. And then there's other guys that they always know how to fall. They always know how to throw it away. They always know when they can take their chances and when they don't. So Dylan has a lot of intangibles that you certainly promote and try to nurture, but they also come very natural for him. Great pocket presence and awareness, can extend plays. He's one of the unique quarterbacks that he can certainly run with it and move the chains and frustrate a defense, but he also keeps his eyes down the field. And, you can go down a list of them, the quarterbacks that you have faced in the past. That, all right, this guy was a scrambler to run, this guy was a scrambler to pass. Vince Young, you didn't ever want to cover everybody because then he'd make you pay, and I'd much rather him throw the ball. He was a good thrower too, but once he gets loose, it's a wrap. So, but Dylan's a guy that can do both, and then he's got a humility and a competitiveness that shows up every single day, and so from a leadership standpoint, those are all great qualities to have in your locker room. And as we all know, that doesn't always happen that way, and so we're proud of Dylan. And the way he's led us and got us to our opener here. I'm thankful that he believed in us. We had a very literally minutes away from for him to have to make a decision without him visiting. We did a Zoom call. It was a kind of a pressure-filled Zoom call, and he had to make the call. And just thankful that he did.
Appreciate it. Coming to the side, Jesse Crittenden.
Hey, Brent. I wanted to ask you about your defensive ends. Ethan Downs talked to us yesterday about how he's comfortable that anybody in that room could get in the game and have success. Just what have you seen from them in the last few weeks, and how do you feel about the position group heading into the weekend?
I like their mindset. I like that we've got good length to us there, learning how to play physical. Ethan's probably the most physical of that group. It's a group that's hungry, that's got great awareness where they're at and where they need to, what their weaknesses are, and so they have a awareness and then the action that you need to make improvement. Humble, let you coach them. A group that can again run, shown the propensity to play both the run and the pass. So it's a hungry group that's got a good edge to them. That they're in a confident space right now, and they've got tremendous upside as a group as well. So I'd expect that as a group, like really both sides of the ball. I expect great improvement as the season goes along.
Far right side, John.
Brent, I'm interested in learning more about your defensive backs and how you guys came to the conclusions on certain guys at certain positions when clearly there's some players who've played other positions, now they're playing new positions, that kind of thing. How difficult was that as a coaching staff to say, okay, we liked what you did at corner, we liked what you did at safety, that kind of thing, and just finding those five?
Yeah, I mean, that's our job as coaches to try to identify, within our scheme, find what a player can do, what he can't do, put him in position to be successful. I've never been afraid of projecting a guy at a new spot. You got to try to utilize your best football players and see if it's a natural fit. And so that's part of it. Some of the things from when we first got here in the spring to where we're at right now, you've kind of discovered, again, once we had the litmus test of actual playing and competing day in and day out, and then really defining the strengths and the weaknesses of the different players, trying to find a way to kind of mix it all together. So if you have somebody specifically, I can address that. Some of it is based on, too, who was and wasn't available. Not everybody was quote unquote healthy all fall camp, like most camps, I'm sure. And so some of that was where guys are maybe on the depth chart that's kind of what they earned because they may not have been available much at all. But I'll answer whatever.
So the first question is about Jaden Davis. Might be a surprise to some people, but he had a great camp. I guess he's worked his way up to number one there at that corner.
I would just ask who are they surprised? Who did they expect? That's the first thing I would say. Who? I'm sorry.
DJ Graham.
Yeah, Jaden was he was really consistent. He's playing confidently, tackles well, and has been one of our most consistent players through fall camp.
Seeing a little bit of difference in body style too. Is there a field position and a boundary position, or is it going to be right and left?
I don't really. We just look for football players, So body style sometimes, you want to again put a guy. If a guy can't do certain things, then you need to try to protect those things. But right now we haven't looked at it that way, and I think first and foremost you got to look for left and right. Guys that can play either side, in both the field and the boundary. So that would be ideal, so that you don't, no pun intended, but you don't corner a guy into doing just certain things. If they can do what both the field and the boundary do, that's what you would ideally like. And so we've cross-trained all of them to do that.
Thank you. Come right here to Lockers, Bill.
Yeah, Brent, you talked a lot about the process. So going into the season, is there anyone that you're going to redshirt at this point, or with the 4-game rule, is that just something that's going to evolve as time goes on?
Yeah, I think it's early. We're not. We've got a little more depth at some positions, but across the board, I don't think that we have the depth to say with certainty today, before we play our first game, that okay, these guys are definitely redshirting. Not really there. I want our guys to know, just like when we had Quentin Griffin back in 1999, and Quentin started off on the scout team, and then whatever it was, game 4 or 5, maybe even 6. I mean, he had been just blistering the number 1 defense down on the scout team, big play after big play after big play, and we had a couple guys get banged up. So we're like, the guy that you need to bring out a red shirt is Quentin, and sure enough, he comes in there and does incredibly well. Everything he was doing on the scout team, he was doing in the games. So, I mean, there's countless examples, but we're just too early right now. We got to have a scout squad right now. There's veterans on those scout squads today, and there's some freshmen on there as well. And but like I've challenged all of them, you have an opportunity to change your, where you're at in what your opportunities are in regards to the team by how you practice every day. You're certainly not going to get out of there, come off the scout team if you're moping around, and wasting your opportunity to get better every day. So that's a long-winded way to say that we're not there yet. And you do have to be calculated on the ones that you think may redshirt. You just don't know, though. Again, we could get a guy hurt at linebacker, in a heartbeat. And as you know, you probably seen the roster like everybody else, and know immediately a 3 becomes a 2 and a 2 becomes a 1. So that's part of the reason why we tried to cross-train some guys as well to create depth at a few positions that we don't feel that we have great depth.
James Hale.
Brent, talk about your linebacking situation. White at the Cheetah, Justin there. You tried a lot of guys there, or you talked about a lot of guys that you tried to work there. So could you talk about how you got your final decisions to get guys where they were?
Yeah, just again trying to find a way to put our best football players on the field, and where they're most comfortable based on their skill set. And our Cheetah position is like it's always been. It's the same exact position. Again, as I've said before, I've had Isaiah Simmons, 6'4", 245, Nick Harris, 6'4", 240 pounds, Keenan Clayton, 6'2", 215, Clint Ingram, 6'2", 244. And we've had Ryan Carter when we were at Clemson, who's one of our GAs on our defensive staff that was 5'9", 170. And or Tony Jefferson, or countless others. Lewis Baker and Joseph Ibaloy. Trying to think who else was some other names that. So these are guys. If you look at Deshaun and Justin as well, as guys like Justin Broyles and Trey Morrison. There's a foursome there. Some different body types, some similarities, not so similarities, but looking for football players. Play in space, it can cover man, play zone. It can blitz, set the edge, play with awareness. You want to be able to keep guys out there without getting to a sub package, and not have to protect a bunch of weaknesses, things that they can't do, that aligns with your game plan. So that's kind of how we got to whatever we got. Trying to find ways for your best football players to get on the field, and those aren't the only positions. All four of those guys play multiple positions, and Trey Morrison started 44 games as a safety and a Cheetah, both, but played a lot of safety. Justin Broyles has played everywhere as well, and then Deshaun has played multiple linebacker positions. Who else got a Cheetah question? Anybody else got to get Cheetah off their chest? Huh? Seems to be a pretty popular question, concern or confusion. Now it's like confusion. We're not confused, but I want to clear the air.
I have no Cheetah question. Sorry, Brent. I actually wanted to ask you, 8 months on the job, I'm sure there's a lot of things you could say. I'm proud of the way I did this as a first-time head coach. But what are the things that you'd like to do better moving forward as a head coach? What do you feel like you need to get better at as the head coach of this program?
Just be patient. I'm not naturally a patient person, and so I got to talk to myself instead of listen to myself, like probably most of us, in whatever those spaces are. That's probably my number one thing. Things can never happen fast enough for me, but I can't show frustration through that. I can certainly be anxious, but I need to always be aware that, how I do what I do matters too. And so whether that's dealing with fans or administration or media or players or coaches, I gotta do a good job of setting the tone. And patience is something that I'm not great at. So there's one. If you keep asking, you might find out like 9 other weaknesses, but that's probably my number one thing.
Second row up here, anything?
Brent, do you think you have a pretty good idea of what game day is going to be like? Have you reached out to Dabo, Bob, or Coach Snyder to get a sense of what you're up against, just in terms of the game day responsibilities, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I have visited with not all of them, but I have visited, not in the last couple of days, but in the past. And of course, I got Matt Wells on staff that's been a head coach, and so that's one of the reasons, amongst others, that we like the idea of bringing him on board. He could help. It's another, you surround yourself with experience and wisdom, and always willing to learn. So, you know, until you go through it, I can imagine nobody has had to tell me that, you know, until you go through it, you know, you don't really know. But again, it's football, and you're in a leadership position. I feel like I've been that, a little bit different role in some ways, and some the same, exact same. But you got to be aware of everything going on in regards to management, and so as opposed to being on that whiteboard until somebody tells you that it's time for the defense to go back out. You know, that's going to be different. But there's going to be times when I need to be on a whiteboard just because that's what I want to do. But I gotta manage the whole team too, and in the game itself. And again, I'm relying on other people to help in that management, but ultimately it's my responsibility. And so I'm incredibly excited about it. We've gone through our mock games, but nothing is going to be like the actual game day itself.
Because it's such a results-driven business, is Saturday going to be the most important thing you've done since you've been here?
I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't know, maybe to other people, but for me, no. The success is a byproduct of everything else that we've been, implementing and working on, you know. And I've always been like that, whether I'm a head coach or the success you have on defense, winning the game is like it's like just an add-on, you know. For me, it's the chase, it's the journey, it's the grind. That's what prepares you, and everything else. And everything else, to be quite honest, should be much easier because of the work that you've put in on the front end and the preparation. And we've worked to prepare for what all the organization and the details of and the semantics of what game day looks like. We've worked hard on that as well. So there'll be things that come up, just like in every other area that you go throughout a calendar year running a football team, that you come up and you're like, okay, that was great, and that wasn't so good. And we've tried to think everything through, and then we're going in there in some ways like, hey, well, let's try it this way and let's see how we like it. So we may not be necessarily surprised by something that we change course on. But I mean, it's everything from where exactly we put those benches and, in relation to all the other things that are on a very cramped sideline. You know, we got a cramped sideline here, right? It's a very cramped area to work with, comparatively speaking. Anybody notice that ever? That's a good story, you know. How do you manage? You got to make a lot of decisions, like how many guys actually get a suit out. You'd like to reward everybody. You may not be able to because the efficiency or the lack thereof. When you've got a crowded sideline and a group, maybe a small percentage that aren't going to necessarily be a part of the main, part of the game day, and are they going to be a distraction? So you want to be efficient too. Those are all things that you have to go through and figure out.
Second row, Cliff Brunt.
Yeah, thank Coach over here. UTEP obviously coming off of loss to North Texas, close first half, had their moments. Did anything jump out at you, stand out to you about things that they do well that can maybe concern you a little bit?
Just confirmation for what we saw. They're a bowl team. Dana's done a great job, building that program the right way with confidence and toughness, physicality. They got the best player, arguably, is their quarterback. He's a great leader. Everything goes through him. Really tough guy. They did a great job in the transfer portal. They lost a couple of receivers in the transfer portal, and they got a couple of junior college players, and 1 and 4 in particular. Got good, strong, big physical backs. They're committed to the run game. Probably the best coached part of their team is the offensive line. Head coach is an offensive line coach, and they know exactly what they're doing. They make very few mistakes. They're usually in position to keep themselves out of harm's way, if you will, in regards to what you're doing on defense. They know how to attack all the fronts and coverages and your pressures, how to pick it up. They do a really nice job not exposing themselves to a lot of negative plays. And they're in a lot of tight games a year ago, and this was a tight game. They missed some opportunities. They snapped the ball over the quarterback's head on 4th and goal at the 1, and had a guy wide open on the 5-yard line, and he dropped it dead to right, and which was a touchdown, walk-in touchdown, and then they missed a chip shot field goal to begin the game. So they're 17 points of an 18-point deficit. Always judge a team too by, okay, who'd they play? What is that team about? And knowing North Texas, I think that maybe was their 6th or 7th straight win. In the best rushing team in their conference is North Texas. So you're looking at that too. That's what UTEP faced. And again, I thought that one thing that UTEP does well is they try to keep the ball away from your offense. And so they do that, again, by being patient, knowing when to take their shots at all the right opportunities, and they'll double move you and try to isolate you outside where you can't give guys help. And guys going to have to, make competitive plays on the football. And then they have some ways to protect the quarterback, to give time for some cross-country type routes to get open. And you're like, how did he get so wide open? But they do a nice job in play design too, Bill Snyder is one of the best offensive minds in the history of college football, in my opinion, and that's Dana's, that's his root system, and so he's done a nice job wherever he's been, and he got these guys believing his guys will play loose and they'll play aggressive. That's who Dana is, and defensively they're really aggressive, and they're going to make you earn everything you get, and so it'll be a great challenge, for us, This is a group that, again, they believe in what they're doing. That was a tough loss for them, but the reality is they know they were in that game, and this is a great opportunity for them to go on the road and build as a team.
Barry?
Yeah, Brent, you inherited this schedule, and some of the future schedules already set. Mm-hmm. But what would your ideal schedule look like? What's your scheduling philosophy, whether Big 12, SEC, doesn't matter, and also knowing that eventually TV is going to tell you who to play. Yeah. So what do you think about the schedule now and going forward?
Whoever they put in front of us, because you're right. Every once in a while they might ask me my opinion, but at the end of the day they're going to do what they want to do. And so I'm not trying to avoid the question. I want our guys. This is Oklahoma, and playing on the biggest stage and the biggest games is what this place has been used to. I know what, having worked here for 13 years, I have a very clear vision for what Joe Castiglione's philosophy is in regards to playing a marquee non-conference. And then again, something that also is going to put people in the stands, from a non-conference standpoint. And, so whatever his philosophy is, I'm in full support. I try to control the controllables, and our job is to get our team ready to play. And to me, I want to be inside out as a program. And so whoever it is, again, it's still about us. And we need to play the best version of us every week. Is what it's all about. And not play to an opponent. And again, as I said before, not whether it's a home venue or it's on the road or it's, again, the uniforms, the time of the day, the temperature, this point spread, all those things, none of that matters. It's got to be about us. And so I really don't spend any time when it comes to that. I've had some sit-downs with Joe, and then moving forward, there's things that are here in the next few years that'll be in our future. And but I love big games. If you look at the track record, and nobody asked me what I thought at Clemson, but Clemson would open up with a marquee team many years, whether it was Auburn or Georgia, somebody like that, somebody on the first few games, and I think that's great for the fans, great for the players and the team. I think it creates an excitement with anticipation, looking forward to the season. They're going to be excited anyway, but when you put whoever it is, in the past we've had a Oregon or a UCLA or a Ohio State or a Washington. Those types of teams, those are marquee names that everybody's going to be excited about.
On this side.
Yeah, can you talk about just the growth and just your overall confidence in the offense and defensive line heading into the season?
Yeah, I feel really good about both of those groups, and again, my expectation is that we're going to continue to get better as the season goes along. But I've seen trust and chemistry, and guys like each other. I think that's important. Cohesion and confidence, aggressiveness, physicality, all those things. We've had a gazillion inside periods against each other. That's when the receivers, it's kind of 9 on 9 there most of the time, and get a chance to see fundamentally and physicality. Those things are really isolated in the run game, and that's where it all starts. And then from a protection standpoint and a pass rush standpoint, we're protecting the quarterback has been really good, what I've seen all fall camp, and still working on developing as a front four in regards to rushing and passer. But guys, we got some guys that can do it, and again, anticipate them improving as the season goes along.
Do you feel good about the depth?
I think we got good quality depth. We have comparable players playing next to each other. I don't think it's just a huge drop-off with that second group of players across the board, both sides of the ball.
Okay, Eli,
Brian, I'm going to ask about one of your guys at the cheetah position, but not about the position itself. Justin Harrington, you've spoken about the work he's done on the field since the spring to now, but as far as the conversations you had with him when he returned to the program and the progress you've seen from him as a member of this program, what has that been in the time since? Well, I asked him to come back with humility and expecting nothing, and to be about the work. That's the way that I encouraged him to earn the trust and respect of his teammates, and he's done that. He's over-delivered in that regard. He's got a can-do attitude. He's been high energy. He can run all day. He's got great endurance. He's got a good skill set. He's aggressive. He can run. He's got good length. He's hungry and eager for his opportunity. And so there's just refinement, that, he's having to learn. And where we have him playing, he was a corner. So learning, all the intricacies of the variety of positions that we've given him. And again, he's done really remarkably well. But there's still some refinement there. But he's been great again, and even he wasn't listed as a starter. You don't hear anything from him, and his family's reached out a couple different times and just to thank us, which is just refreshing. There's no quote unquote expectation, and so that's fun to deal with too when you got humble people that you're working with. And again, the guy was a highly recruited guy, is my understanding, and so he's been good.
Time for a couple more. Let's go to Justin Martinez.
From talking to players yesterday, there were guys saying that they especially want to play well this week because it is the start of the Brent Venables era. And I'm sure you don't want to make it about yourself, but you talked about buy-in. I mean, I got to imagine that's good to hear that guys are rallying behind you.
Yeah, and again, I've been proud of our guys. They've, have worked incredibly hard since the moment we got here. Been no pushback. Our guys are anxious and eager to learn and grow and get better, improve. We've got a bunch of humble, hard-working, tough guys that have responded. Again, since the moment our staff has gotten here, and again, as I've said before, that's an interesting, dynamic. This is a team that's won a lot in 7 straight years of finishing in the top 10 in the country. Have had great success. We had a down year last year. How many games did we win last year? 11. We won 11 games last year. It was a down year, right? And so they could be, hey man, we've been doing this, why are we changing things up? And whatever we've done, we've been open and honest and very communicative. I think that's how you build trust and you build connection. So nobody's surprised. Here's why we're doing this. I want to lay it out there for you. Nobody has to ask because I'm out in front of it that way. But, that's great. But at the end of the day, this is their team. This is going to be about, certainly there's responsibility lies at my feet, but at the end of the day for the players, they need to play for each other, for the privilege that it is to play, and again, play and compete to a standard that we've very clearly established. And if they do that with intent, it doesn't mean they're going to be perfect, but if they do that with everything they got, then we'll be the kind of team that we want to be at the end of the year.
Time for last one.
I'm just curious now that you've kind of seen culture play out over the offseason and fall camp, and I'm sure it might not be quite what you want it to be yet, but when you kind of look at the culture and the identity you're trying to foster at OU, what do you hope that looks like both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, and I think the culture is the soul of everything that we do. And again, it's a culture of effort, uncommon effort, accountability and discipline, toughness, selfless. I think this will be for us to have the kind of season we want, it's got to be about sacrifice. It's going to be a season of sacrifice. And so all of those things, I could continue to go on, but foundationally, that's what it's about. It's relationship driven, it's trust, it's truly a brotherhood, but it's having that selfless, attitude, what's best for the team, very team centered. So we've worked hard at trying to connect all those different areas and again, demand some of those habits, what those things look like. Our guys are not going to be surprised if somebody catches a touchdown, they go spike the ball, they know exactly what's getting ready to happen. They know what that intimately looks like, what the repercussions of something like that are. I don't expect that to happen, but we've created a lot of accountability, and there'll be a lot of other things that happen during the course of a season that, again, you have to respond to. But that's what it'll, look like.
Sooner Scoop HD.